I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to make the easiest money you've ever made in your life. From courtside to Capitol Hill, crossing boundaries and borders, if it's trending, I'm talking about it. Welcome back to the Emily Austin Show. I actually just returned from Canada, and thank God. I know I've complained so many times about the weather here in New York. Mark my words, I will never complain again. Yesterday, I spoke in the Parliament about a very, very important subject. I'll put the video out soon. You'll all see it, don't worry. But I physically could not feel my face, my nose, my lips. I was frozen so badly that I couldn't respond to texts or emails because my fingers were just frigid like this and I couldn't move. Moral of the story is, I will never complain about New York again. But what I will complain about is Canada. Because the reason I even went to Canada is because they have a woke prime minister who has no idea what he's doing and is so morally conflicted. It's almost like he lives in this upside down reality where whatever is bad he perceives as good and vice versa. So yesterday, coincidentally, while I'm in Canada, well, this will be published tomorrow. So 2 days ago, while I'm in Canada, and it's hardly covered on the news, I'm going to add, there's a school shooter. So police said Jesse Strang, 18 years old, killed fire. Thus far, 10 people are dead. There are people in the hospital, they're children. There are kids in the hospital fighting for their lives. And then Jesse, when he is done shooting people, he killed himself after, by the way, I'll add, killing his mother, who, if she wasn't dead, belongs in jail, and we'll get into that, and killing his 11-year-old stepbrother. Now, there's a reason I'm emphasizing the word he, all right? Jesse was born a male and decided at 12 years old that he is a female. So I address this almost every single episode. Again, before everyone calls me a transphobe and brands MAGA as this anti-trans party, I don't care what you do behind closed doors. I don't care if you're a dude and you wear a dress in public. I just don't. What I do care about is the fact that they are instilling this ideology on children. Let me tell you something. A 12-year-old does not know what gender they are. They do not care what gender they are. If anything, it's a game of dress up, okay? When I was a child and I went to preschool, we used to play mommy and daddy. And sometimes it was fun to play daddy, or it was funny at the time. Now imagine it's 2026 and I tell my teacher, hey, I'm playing mommy and daddy, except I feel like being daddy today. And now my teacher and my parents say, you know what, sweetheart, you're probably a boy. That's criminal. It's twisted. It's actually a little bit like of pedophilia in there too, because why are we so hyper fixated on children and their gender and their private parts? So Jessie, who I'm assuming her name was Jessica before identifying as a female. No, it was Jessie. So Jessie's gender neutral. Anyway, the reason we all figure this out is because the Canadian police said the following in their press conference when discussing the shooting.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the...
Gun person? Gun person. Like chest-feeding person, because we don't want to say breastfeeding anymore, because it's insulting to trans men. We have lost our minds. It's official. It's official. Thank God the US isn't there just yet, but bordering with Canada, it gets pretty close. The police were so afraid of misgendering the gun person. And let me also tell you something that really upsets me as a woman. Not that I care so much what stats have to say. I don't believe in shooting people anyway. But because this man wore a dress when he shot up little kids in a school, they are now calculating this as a statistic that goes in female murder rates. So we are conforming to this mentally ill person so much that the police made up a new word. Gun person is not a word. It's gunman, gunwoman. That's it. And this is a gunman. We're not going to pretend that because this mentally ill dude wore a dress that he's a woman now. Okay? That's A. Number two, I respect people's pronouns. It's so annoying that every episode I have to say this because y'all are so insane. Again, I don't care. But in this instance, this man murdered little kids. Do you think I give a damn what their pronouns are? And neither should the police. Not only are the police respecting the pronouns, which fine, at that point, do whatever you want, but they tried to hide the details of this school shooting because they were afraid it was going to violate this gun person's privacy. How insanely selfish are you? There is a mother right now in the hospital. Her 12-year-old daughter, they said she won't make the night because she took a bullet to the chest and she took a bullet to the brain. And you're worried about what her shooter's pronouns are? Shame on you. This is madness. Can we just revert back to common sense? And I'm not saying let's go out and be transphobic. I'm not saying that. You can respect good people and whatever they believe in, okay? I no longer judge people, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual identity. I don't care. I don't care if you're a cat. Are you a good person? Are you a good cat? Because if you're good, I will be respectful to you. Otherwise, I don't care, okay? But there is a common denominator here. And here's what's very frustrating as well. We hear all the time about school shootings, and we constantly hear that they're coming from transgender people. So why are we pretending there's no correlation here? And when I tried to find stats, because I like to prove things with evidence, you can't Google search, you can't ask ChatGPT, you can't ask Grok anything about trans shooters. I literally was fighting with my ChatGPT yesterday. I said, Chat, how many school shooters statistically are transgender? I'm sorry, that violates our code of conduct of hate. How's that hate speech? I'm asking you a question. Unless there's a reason everyone wants to hide this to protect the trans community. But there's a correlation here. Not one, not two, not three, not four. There have been multiple transgender shooters in the last year that for some reason shoot up little kids in school. So now, with no science behind this, let's just talk and think with our brains. I know that's something we don't do anymore, but let's really try for a moment here. Okay, if Emily Austin's a woman, which she is, and my body produces estrogen because I'm a woman, and now I start taking something, testosterone, that yes, I know people have testosterone in their blood, but there's a certain level as a female that you don't exceed. If I start taking something that's not natural for my body to comprehend, for my body to process, because biologically my brain is not wired that way, of course you're going to become slightly mentally ill. It just makes perfect sense. You're putting something in your body that naturally does not exist, and then you're forcing it to accept it. And then you're actually also forcing everyone around you to pretend that that's normal. Again, it's not my problem. But do you know when it becomes my problem? When I need to worry one day if I'm going to homeschool my kids or not, because I don't want them to catch bullets while trying to learn in school. The world would be a much simpler place if we did things for ourselves and less for other people, and we tried to shove ideologies down your throat, because that's what's happening with this whole trans movement. It started with, we just want rights. And you deserve the right to do whatever the heck you want so long as you respect other people's rights. Then it turned into, no, we need a month to honor our existence. Nobody needs a month. I say that as a Jew. I say that as a woman. We don't need a month to, to acknowledge that this person has rights. It's just silly to me. No one's better than another person. And by the way, veterans have one day and they sacrificed their lives for this country. But Jews, by the way, and trans, and women's, and black people, everyone gets a month, but veterans get one day. That's another episode, but just pointing that out. That's crazy hypocrisy. So then the trans community went from, we want rights, okay, now we have a month to acknowledge our existence. Now it's, we are above the law because we identify as something else, and anyone who disagrees with us is transphobic or full of hate or is part of the Trump MAGA band. It's complete lunacy. And I refuse to conform with that anymore. When I went to college under Joe Biden, if you did not kiss the asses of trans people, you were branded as transphobic. And we don't have to pretend anymore because we have a normal president who's reinforcing law and order and will not allow trans people to impose on other people's rights, okay? on the topic of trans people, this will make you sick to your stomach. And if you're a parent that's watching this, I'm actually curious, if this woman was your daughter, what would you do in this situation? Take a look at this. This is the face of a woman who was just sexually assaulted by a man while engaging in her favorite sport, which is wrestling, okay? So here are the facts. Callie Keeler was wrestling a boy. She's a high schooler. Nobody had informed her that the person she was wrestling was a biological male. He pushed his fingers into her vagina while wrestling her. You see her face, she's screaming out to her mother from the stands. Her mother said she could not make out what she was saying because she was so far. Callie says she was confused, she was desperate, she wanted it to end, so she allowed herself, like you do in wrestling, to be pinned down, okay? Callie thought that this wrestler she was wrestling was a female. Nonetheless, she reported the sexual assault. Only then did she find out the person she was wrestling was a male, and now she finds out that he shoved his fingers up her vagina. This was reported to the school, and they did nothing until 2 months later. Then they reported it to the police, and essentially nothing really happened until this was brought to my attention on X, and now there's this sudden outrage. Now, as a female, if anyone touched my no-no square, I don't care if you're a male or a female, I'm reporting that as sexual assault, and I expect it to be taken seriously. But now this goes back to my other problem, that if you try to do anything that goes against the trans community, you get silenced. It gets suppressed. It gets brushed under the carpet somewhere. Why is it okay for a transgender person to sexually assault her, but we know that if this was a male, they would completely prosecute him? We always hear about the Me Too movement, and we hear about sexual assault and NFL players going to jail, and yesterday there was a basketball player who just got engaged and now he's going to jail for rape. Why is this okay? So let me answer that. It's not okay. But this hysteria with protecting trans communities does not make them above the law. And we need to protect women in sports. Forget the trans community for a minute, okay? This guy is a bad person. I'm not saying all trans people are bad. He sexually assaulted her. He belongs in jail. I don't care what you identify as. Go to a female prison for all I care, and then you could try to sexually assault people there. They have their own justice system in jail. I'm sure he'll be taken care of. But this goes back to the craziness of men in women's sports. And I thought we stopped pretending that that was a thing. I really believed under this administration there was, I don't know if it was an executive order or just a mutual understanding that we're done allowing men to dominate women's sports. Now, I work in combat sports. There's a certain level. There's, okay, my dignity was hurt, my ego is bruised, this guy stole my opportunity and that's wrong. And then there's boxing, for example, where it's, this is a man, he can break my jaw, he can bash my skull in because he's biologically stronger than I am. And now, apparently there's a sexual assault aspect where Riley Gaines spoke to this. You're in a locker room, there's someone there that has a boner, and you are forced to essentially get undressed in the same space as them. There was reports, by the way, this is twisted. Leah Thomas, the swimmer, used to write from a burner account. I didn't forget about any of this. The whole world forgot about this. It still haunts me till today. She used to get turned on by the fact that she was trans. I'm saying she. I still don't know if it's a she or a he. No, it's a he. He has a penis. That's how I identify who's who, okay? Leah Thomas would get hard over thinking about being trans and being erect in front of other females, which means he's attracted to females, which means he's probably straight. So I don't know why he's having this gender confusion here. And he would always be hard in the locker room, in the swimming room. So people are in bathing suits, getting undressed, and Leah Thomas is going home fantasizing about that. Now, the comments under this wrestler's post were, well, why did you fight a man? And to answer that, which I hope I already did, she wasn't informed she was fighting a man. So I'm going to conclude with this. Clearly, the schools are not protecting you. Clearly, your local government's not protecting you. If you are an athlete and there is a man in your space, if you're a female athlete, and there's a man trying to humiliate you and undermine women's integrity in sport, do everyone a favor. Refuse. Do not participate. Go to social media, since mainstream media will not have your back because they will label you as a transphobe, but X will have your back. I will have your back. Do not comply with this lunacy. Do not allow men, because the schools allow them, do not allow men to humiliate you, to get to the opportunity to sexually assault you, and to continue to humiliate women in sports. Because we fought too hard to get to the point of respect that we have today in sports to allow some person with gender confusion to come in here and rob these opportunities from all of us. So just refuse. And whoever did not inform her that she's fighting a man should go to jail, because now you're complicit. She could have gotten seriously injured, and now she was sexually assaulted. So thank you very much for being a coward. And because the world can't escape identity politics, we just got one more story about the LGBTQ community. We have a double-edged sword here. So on the bright side, America won a gold medal in the Olympics. Woohoo! A figure skater, right? Amber Glenn. Unfortunately for us, Amber has this virus in her brain, the woke mind virus, where she fell into this trap. And this is what Amber said in a press conference.
Yeah, it's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights. And now, especially, it's not just affecting the queer community, but many other communities. And I think that we are able to support each other in a way that
I've heard enough. My question for Amber Glenn: why have the queer community been oppressed? Because we don't want transgender fingers in our vaginas? I'm genuinely confused here. How are you oppressed? Because trans people exist. They have every right. They can vote. They can play in women's sports. So please tell me, what rights do you not have? In fact, let me tell you, Amber, you have so many rights that you're taking away women's rights, okay? So I think you have a little bit confused. What you should have said, Amber, is, I'm here to be an ally because I'm a woman in sports, and I think it's abominable that transgender men are dominating a sport that I partake in. I had enough of this, and I really call on the administration to do something about it. That's what a brave person would have done. Amber, however, is poisoned by probably the TikTok mindset of, oh, I'm going to be an ally for all these misrepresented minority groups. There is no such thing as a misrepresented minority group, and we need to stop victimizing ourselves. Black people are not victims anymore. They are thriving. They're in every career they want to be. We have Black people winning medals in the Olympics. Bravo, as they should, okay? There is no LGBTQ discrimination. They have more rights than the average person. In fact, you're not even allowed to criticize them anymore. So I feel like my rights are being stripped in order for all these people to have rights. But this is a Hunter Hess-esque person. We need more Lindsey Vonns. We need more Tamira Mensah-Stocks. We need more people like that who are proud of their country. But if you're going to criticize the country, come with the facts. I've seen a few comments, well, can you tell us, what rights have been revoked under the Trump administration that you feel that this group is oppressed? And of course she can't answer because she doesn't believe in it. And instead of, pulling a Steve Kerr and maybe walking back on your statement, which I can respect, of course Amber has to double down. She then wins the gold Olympics, which I will congratulate you for. It's not an easy task. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean they're not talented. She wins this gold medal. And then she takes it to TikTok, where she probably got this woke virus to begin with. And she says, they hate to see two woke bitches winning. Where's the TikTok? Anyway, she's flexing her gold medal. Let me tell you something. Being woke is not a flex. Being woke, you're admitting that you're not capable of thinking beyond your political party. And there's nothing worth bragging about that. The biggest flex is actually not binding yourself to any group, to any identity. The biggest flex is being able to critically think, okay? Being woke means that there's like this spectrum of, extreme right, conservative, center, center left, woke. How is this good for anyone? And the answer is it's not. But unfortunately, Amber, like the rest of these anti-patriotic, anti-American Olympians, is going to find out the hard way. She already started because Amber said, I'm taking a social media break because I can't stand the Trump comments. Keep commenting because she deserves it. You know, you have the right to say whatever you want, but you also have the right to experience the backlash. And sorry, Amber, you're going to get backlash because what you said is so freaking dumb that it's impossible to avoid that. I'm going to bring this to a more positive subject, but it's not less controversial, all right? Are you team Percy Jackson or Harry Potter? Because 16 years ago today, Percy Jackson was released, which makes me feel old, even though I know that I'm young and I'm 24, but I just remember it like it was yesterday. So personally, I believed Percy Jackson put all the Harry Potter movies to shame, but I get attacked left and right for having that opinion. Now, I'm not saying the Harry Potter movies were bad. I just don't understand the insane hype around it, like this international understanding that Harry Potter is like the best series ever. But that's my thoughts. Are you team Percy or are you team Harry Potter? Let me know in the comments below. Before we go, I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to make the easiest money you've ever made in your life. I found this market today on Polymarket that says, will Trump wear a yarmulke in 2026? For those who don't know, a yarmulke is the Jewish kippah. I guess yarmulke is the English word. And there's only a 33% chance. I will put so much money to bet that he would, because you don't only wear it if you're a Jew. You wear it if you're attending a synagogue, if you're going to a Jewish cemetery. You know, his daughter is a Jew. So maybe there's a bar mitzvah this year he'll be attending, and then he just sticks on a yarmulke. So if you put $100, you're going to get back $276. Now, if you're more confident, let's say you put 1,000 and you're making 2,221. Now, you're all very welcome. I will take the 10% cut from anyone who succeeds on this bet. Polymarket right now. Oh, it just went up 34% chance. Come on, we're running out of time. We have to do this right now. Right now. I'm going to end the episode right here because I'm going to figure out how to put money on this yarmulke. Thank you so much for joining the Emily Austin Show. I will see you all on Tuesday. Don't be woke. Homeschool your kids until they figure out how to stop transgenders from murdering them in school. And hopefully this madness will come to an end. And if you have a liberal friend, please refer them to the Emily Austin Show. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next time.